Oh, and hello. This is the spoiler uh, section of the movie. So basically, the whole story kicks off with Peter Dinklage. He's a worker. He works at a massive corporation, like a really goofy, cartoony corporation where what they sell drugs that make you not depressed. Like they sell antidepressants, basically
Pharmaceuticals,
pharmaceuticals. But
generally.
somehow the pharmaceuticals are made out of like rat poison, like comedic levels of just biological waste is required to make these pharmaceuticals. So it's the whole yin and yang of you're helping people by making them happy, I guess, but at the same time you're doing a lot of damage. Like you're causing a lot of brain, cancer. You're destroying the world.
Mutations.
Yeah.
Causing crippling mutations and whatever industry it is like polluting the whole world. We open up basically on a toxic landfill that looks like something you get from Fallout. So it's playing on the nose of the cliched evil corporation that's
very on the nose.
On the surface, the facade is it's helping everybody, but it's just greedy and it doesn't care about the repercussions of what it's doing.
We saw none of the good.
A small person.
We saw none of the good. It was a movie about just the bad. Of like, evil corporation. Kevin Bacon basically owns the corporation, and he gets, he's got people investors that basically force him to do things that he doesn't really want to do, but he has to for the sake of his corporation. Peter Dinklage, he turns into the green monster because he mixes sewage water with contaminated pharmaceutical juice and turns into this green monster.
Yeah, well, they make it quite clear that the explanation is not important because they skip over scientific terminologies with like background noises and all stuff. So
to show who cares.
They're saying let's just get to the cut to the chase. All right, he's the toxic Avenger now. Deal with it.
Yeah, which I feel like I'm too old to care about that. I mean, if I was like 15, I would probably like yeah, that's funny. But for me now, I'm like, well, I want to know the meaning. But what's the meaning? Why is this like this? I don't know. We didn't get really any of that. Kevin Bacon, basically, I don't know what, Peter Dinklage, he kills people and then also shows that the whole corporation is evil because of a TikTok he makes. People recording him making a TikTok. And then the TikTok goes viral. And then everyone's like, oh, this evil corporation is bad. And then Kevin Bacon is forced to turn into a monster because his investors want to kill him. Because the mobsters, because the TikTok got popular.
It's not because it got popular, it's because their plan to, get resource finances and all that backfired. That was like his whole premise was these mobsters, he owes money because his corporation, ironically, is starting to go, his profits are plummeting, his stock is plummeting, and Bacon's character was relying purely on all his eggs in one basket and this new miracle cure, which was the Toxic Avenger and all that. But of course it doesn't go to plan, so Bacon turns himself with the same goo into his own monster and kills the mobsters, and there's a final fight between him and the hero. Everything is very 1, 2, 3 of a story that you'd find back in like the 80s and 90s, which this is what I was trying to get at before. It's very intentional to kind of reference that vibe since the original film in the comic series came out, I think, in the 80s and all that. So the very straightforward plot, good versus evil, character has a tragic story, gets revenge, becomes like the monster and all that. And you've seen it all before, especially like in The Crow, in Spawn, all those kind of adaptations. It's the same formulaic kind of story.
You immediately forget about it as well. Yeah, you immediately forget about it. There's nothing to think about after.
No. The whole point of this film was meant for like the slapstick kind of humor and the violent humor and all that stuff. And as I said in the non-spoiler area, a lot of the comedy for me doesn't work. There are some funny moments, and there's one really funny moment that I
Yeah,
feel
to
like should
dime.
have. The scene really should have belonged to the Naked Gun, but the setup was bloody hilarious. Um, the police officer just shooting the guy, and as he's shooting him, he's saying, "Show me your hands! Show me your hands!"
He's just like freaking emptying his clip in a guy. Yeah, no, his reaction, because it reminds me of like something that your brother would do. Or like you would
Oh, for sure.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, but to me, that timing was beautiful. You know, it's just the cutaway to him just going all absolute nuts. And also, it's referencing how trigger happy cops are. So, you know, the in joke is there as well. But if they had kept that kind of level of humor throughout it, it would have been a much more fun experience. But half the time, the comedy relies, I think, on improv from its cast.
Yeah.
And with improv, you need to get the timing down right. I'm not a big fan of comedy. I would never dare try it. But I know the formula behind why something can be said funny and something that can be said and go mundane. And as much as I love Peter Dinklage, a lot of the comedy in this did not even derive from him. It was his character and the ridiculousness of his character that made some of the stuff that he's doing funny. But when time came for it to actually, you know, slash a pun and be humorous and all that, half the time I'm just brushing it off. I wasn't really that amused. I'm just like, yep, okay, that's a joke. Huh, that's another funny joke. Huh,
Yeah.
okay. It's meant to be a funny joke. But, I mean, if I wanted to be really, really cynical about it and not give it a little bit of humility, I would have just been going crickets chirping through a lot of the jokes. It felt forced for me, a lot of the humor, you know? Whereas the ones I did laugh at, they feel like they just came naturally and were built for the setup. You know, there's hostages, there's these criminal characters, and here's the police. You know, they're supposedly the good guys, but here's this one police officer just being trigger happy. You know, whether he's meant to be like a rookie or inexperienced, it doesn't matter. It was just the setup and the payoff that was hilarious for that one joke. And a lot of the other times the setup doesn't have a good payoff in terms of its comedy, and so half the time I was just sitting in that chair like Homelander, just staring at the screen blank.
Yeah, I mean, there was no
Yeah.
payoff. It's like the story was bad. So what we had was the comedy. It's like, all right, well, this better be a funny film then, because there's nothing really else. But no, most of the jokes didn't land. So you're kind of left with like a superhero movie that's like not really a superhero movie. And it's
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it's quite clear this film was done on a very, very minimal budget. I mean, the fact that they're able to scrap up Kevin Bacon, and let's not forget bloody Elijah Wood's role, which
Yeah.
was so odd. But he's known to play weird roles ever since his role as Frodo from Lord of the Rings. But yeah, it feels like this whole film was shot on like one studio lot with like 30 or 40 extras that were just there the whole time for like playing background audience members or people in the press or people in the hospital. It felt like a very, very compressed budget, and whether or not that was intentional for the kind of film they're making, or if that's all the attention that this production got, I don't know. I have to read into it. I don't feel like it's gonna do too good. I haven't really looked into what other people are thinking of this film so far, but there's been pop-ups on my news feeds, and a lot of them are saying the same thing, that it's just basically been a miss more than a hit.
Even for the cult classic, even for the cult, you know, classic type of people, I don't think it'll make a good cult classic, because there's not enough depth in it. You know, like you need some sort of depth. Like the latest Nosferatu, I can see that being like a cult hit as well for a lot of people, because there was all kind of a lot to it. But this one's very, even though Nosferatu wasn't too. Anyway, this film is very simple, so there's nothing really to it for it to be a nothing to make a cult classic. It's a very forgetful film overall.
It's missing a magic or a spark, because I see a lot of mirrored kind of stuff to when the original Deadpool came out and released. Like the original Deadpool only got made because someone made a CG version of a sequence with Ryan Reynolds voicing the character, and the whole world exploded. They said, we want to see Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. And so what was also still a fairly low budget film became a hit classic because it stuck the landing of the jokes, and it had a set piece that was fun to watch, and a superhero lead that did bring in the jokes that were funny. This has miss. And whether or not they give a crap about it being like that, or if this is just meant to be its one-off kind of thing, that's up to people to say. Bottom line is you're looking to see a Deadpool mixed with Rob Zombie kind of experience. A lot of goofiness, nothing is taken seriously. If it is taken seriously, it's immediately disrupted by something that happens. And I will give it note. I think the funniest thing I could take away from this film, ironically, was stuff that happens in the background of the film. Like, for the most, especially in the first half of the film, we get to see this kind of world that Dinklage's character lives in, and there's scenarios where we're hearing construction workers in the background or just random bystanders, and they're making funny comments about something that's not even on screen.
Well, the news anchors and stuff, that was a bit of in the background as well.
Yeah, the very meta news anchors, but like, to me, that was the funniest thing of the film, was like overhearing these people in the background that we're not even really supposed to be listening to, and some of the comments they make about what's happening, especially the construction workers, when like they're doing something that's blocking out the doctor's description of whatever Dinklage is having, and hearing them screwing up something, it's like, oh, you've done it again. Just stuff like that. I mean, it's that's testament to, like, I'm not really giving a crap about what's happening in the foreground. I'm more interested in background noise. Yeah. As opposed to what the focal story is supposed to be about.
Oh, and Peter Dinklage is putting his eye back in, and the guy in the background is like, oh, he's putting it back in. Oh, my God. the way he said it was, like, really good, well timed. And, like,
yeah, exactly.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're laughing about it right now, but the fact that we're laughing about that instead of what the main focal of this narrative was is telling us how we really thought about the film, that a lot of it was just so mediocre and flat that we're just waiting for the next scene. And by the end of the film, which we have our big, battle royale of good versus evil, Kevin Bacon, it shows the film was on a low budget in terms of an epic final conflict. And I also found too, half the time, especially with Kevin Bacon, but even sometimes with Dinklage, when he's speaking with all the prosthetics done, I can't really hear his words properly. A lot of this, sometimes his stuff is very muffled, and it's like he's wearing a mask, which he's limited to how he's speaking through it.
Oh, right.
You know, I found that really disruptive too, because I'm just thinking, like, dude, you could have done a second take, or like do something where they can actually speak more clearly. Or, audio dub it in the studio. Just make some of his lines a bit more clear, because all I'm hearing is...
Oh, really? I didn't notice that. But okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was especially with Kevin Bacon, because he's got, like, these oversized teeth, which would have been awkward to, like, speak. So the fact that he could speak somewhat coherently was props to him. But, yeah, man, long story short, I just walked out of this film not disappointed, because I had low expectations to begin with. It's a very hollow experience.
Very meh, yeah. There's just nothing on. Oh, I remember that there was one more funny scene. Actually, it was probably at the peak where I thought, wow, this could be a good film. It was in the very beginning. Remember the very beginning in the office? That guy's like, run, get out of here. And then the gangsters come into the office, and he's like, there's nothing you can do to me. And he gets shot. He says like twice.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I just remember that too. And eventually, the guy just shotguns him, and he falls out the window and like falls 10 stories and hits the ground. You think he's dead.
He's still alive.
But barely still alive. So he's like, can't do anything. Freaking, that was a hilarious scene.
I was waiting for him to come back into it. Like, he's in hospital recovering from his wounds, And like that could be the recurring gag. He keeps getting shot or stabbed or blown up, and he just keeps surviving it somehow. That would have been a funny gag, but it just seemed like that was like directed by someone else, like someone that would have done the Naked Gun kind of skit.
Yeah.
And then all right, the next film is going to be directed by someone else with their own take on humor, and it was just okay, mundane.
Yeah, I mean, satirical humor, kind of, yeah. The Naked Gun came out. This one's probably the closest slapstick. But, you don't really get that many slapsticks anymore.
Hopefully, they're making a comeback. Hopefully, but at the same time, sometimes it's best just to leave something in
Leave
the
it.
grave.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to
You
look
bring
back
it
at
back
it.
and it just ruins it.
Yeah, it's funnier when you think about it, but when they do it, it's not as funny as when you think about. It's one of those things. It's funnier in your when it stays in your head or in the past.
In the words of the warning man from the Pet Cemetery, sometimes death is better. And that's what I'll say about that having a reoccurrence.
Yeah.
But my final thoughts on Toxic Avenger,
Rating.
it could have been a lot better. Rating, I'll give it a 4 out of 10.
I'll give it a 5. Just flat down the middle. Immediately forget when you watch it. It kind of did the job for what it kind of advertised itself, I guess. I don't know, the prosthetics was good. There was some CGI. The CGI was a bit iffy, but I feel like there was a lot of prosthetics, and yeah, they tried. I feel like they tried.
They tried. Yeah.
They tried. Like, and it just didn't really pay off, or I don't think it would pay off. No. But anyway, Jared is here. He would have gave it a 10. Unfortunately, 11. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, because people like us, we're not really into those type of films. But if you are into this type of film, let us know why you think we're wrong, if we're wrong, and why you think it's a good film. If you're someone like Jared that would give it a 12. Anyway, that's our spoiler review. Have a nice good morning, evening, night, everyone, and we'll see you next week. All right, bye.